What's up, guys? Welcome to episode 3 of Beyond the Barrier podcast. I am incredibly grateful that you've taken the time to sit down with me and check out a little bit more of my journey as we kind of, get to know me a little bit better as we start this little podcast journey together. Because I think that, being a coach and being a spiritual guide, whatever you want to refer to me as, I think that transparency is extremely important for this relationship. And yeah, I think that you should just know where I'm coming from. I think the start of my spiritual journey, I guess you could say, would be in 2020 when COVID struck. I Prior to this, I had this big run in the music industry. I'm playing shows every weekend. I have more attention on me than I've ever had in my life. I was the quote unquote cool kid, or at least you would think, or like, or at least that's what it like seemed like. I personally don't think I was very cool back then. My life was in shambles and I was a functioning wreck. But it all started in 2020 when COVID struck. I went from being at this extremely high place that I've had never been before. I was never a popular kid. I always kind of kept to myself. And then all of a sudden, I got like this insane amount of notoriety and like people wanting to be close to me, so on and so forth. And when everything shut down and COVID struck, it put all that to a halt. So I went, my life up until this point was no smooth, smooth path by any means or any stretch of the imagination. But what had happened was, I got this like small taste of like, I guess what you could consider like being successful and like motion is what the young kids would say. And it all got put to a halt, and that basically plummeted me very extremely quickly into the worst place that I have ever been in my life. I nothing was open, like couldn't do anything. My journey in with addictions and like drinking and stuff hit an all-time high because I was just sitting at home getting high, getting drunk. um, and I was by myself too. My kid's mom at the time was there with me, but you know I was basically, I had never like used like that at home by myself, to that extent. So it pushed me into this incredibly like depressed, anxious state. Like I got up to like 340 pounds. I was extremely overweight. And yeah, so basically, I got my second DWI. I almost killed myself because I didn't think I was ever going to change. And, I just got to that point where like I couldn't take it anymore. And I didn't. And I quit everything cold turkey. I went through withdrawals by myself. I essentially couldn't work because of the charges, and I had a driving job at the time. So I was basically, like laying on my couch dying, essentially. I didn't know that you could actually like die or have like severe complications by just like quitting cold turkey like that, which this is not medical advice. Call 988 if you were ever in like, you know, a really bad spot. But I think sometimes that's how you have to do it. Otherwise, you're just never going to quit. But essentially, I went through all that. Me and my kid's mom broke up, and I moved out of the townhouse that I bought for us. I let her keep it because it was actually like in her name because as a single, parent in Minnesota, it's a better deal when you buy your first house if you're a single mom. So we went that way. So I was like, whatever. I moved back in with my mom, and that is when the spiritual journey commenced. I was at a point where, so first off, I started going to the gym. I read Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins, completely changed my life. I ended up losing like 150 pounds within like 6 months of this journey. I wasn't doing anything besides like working and going to the gym. I wasn't really talking to anybody. I was pretty much minding my own business in solitude. And it's honestly insane, but my depression for the most part went away, but my anxiety got incredibly worse when I quit, bearing my emotions with alcohol and drugs. And it got to the point where I was like functioning in day to day life, but I like internally was like crumbling. I would have panic attacks, like severe panic attacks, like every day. And I never went to the doctor for like anxiety medication or therapy or anything like that. I never really talked about it. I kind of just like struggled through it. And at the time, I literally had no idea about anything spiritual. I'm like, dude, like I grew up being like, I didn't talk about God much. I believed in him, um, but I hated going to church. And yeah, I had no idea of any spiritual concepts or beliefs. One thing I can tell you is that like I've always had extremely strong intuition for as long as I can remember. Um, but like all that stuff kind of went away because people my whole life made me feel like I was crazy, but in reality, they just didn't know how I knew the things that I knew. Like, they didn't know how I knew that they were doing shady stuff. They didn't know how I knew the answer to these random questions that I shouldn't have the knowledge of. And, essentially, like, people gaslighted me my whole life to the point where, like, they kind of went away. But I mean, my whole life, I didn't listen to anybody. I followed my intuition, and it made it sharp as a tack. But it was essentially, you know, there was some time in between this, but I went on that gym journey. I was in solitude for years. Didn't date anybody really. I went on like a couple dates, and it was when I saw um, this this Jay Shetty advertisement is when it all started. Shout out Jay Shetty. Honestly, probably one of the only people I truly look up to. Just like kindest dude, like coolest dude. I don't know. I like kind people. You know what I mean? And I have the ability to like see people at a soul level, and I swear like we're brothers. But anyways, um, and also too like his like the way he uses ancient wisdom like from uh monking. I'm just kidding. He said that one day. I thought it was funny. For being a monk, it's like the same concept that I'm doing, except my I have ancient codes in my DNA. Like my ancestors are somehow go back to ancient Egypt. The healing abilities that I embody and the wisdom that I have, it comes from ancient. ancient traditions, ancient Egyptian times. Uh, Kind of getting off topic here, but yeah. So I get this. I I've always loved helping people, right? Like even in the music industry, that was kind of like who I was. I was a consultant. I started the record label because I thought that that was like my way of helping a bunch of people, even though like most of the people just use you and take what they take what they need and never come back. But my whole life, nothing has ever given me the fulfillment and feeling that helping people has. And that stems back to, I think it was like fifth grade when I got assigned to teach this foreign exchange student Yesenia the English language, and just seeing her eyes light up when she finally like nailed some words. I I get these like full body intuitive hits, and I from my recollection, that's the first time I can ever remember feeling that, and it's something that's stuck with me my whole life. It's almost like my soul like lights up, and I can feel it even in my head. Like it's an intense ass feeling. Like it's not a gut feeling or it's butterflies. Like it's like my whole soul lights up, and I can just feel it throughout my whole body. It's super crazy. But yeah, that's the first time I remember ever feeling that. It's because I'm an empath, uh, a Sophia stage empath at that. Basically, my soul got cracked open, but hey, we'll get to that. So I get this Jay Shetty advertisement. I have this moment where like, and I still get these moments from time to time where it's like, in my head, it's like, uh, almost like a matrix in time. Just like all this information clicks, and it's like all these, it's like my brain recognizes like patterns, and it's like it all clicked at once, and I can like see it in my mind's eye. It's the craziest thing. I honestly don't even know how to explain it, but I was like, this is why I'm here. Like this is it was like one of those aha moments where I was just like, this is what I'm here for. And I literally, I mean, dude, it was within a week of seeing that advertisement. I dropped everything. I enrolled in school at the Brave Thinking Institute, which, okay, so like, check this out. So, it's funny because I didn't go with his school because at the time I didn't have the money. And it was like, I think you had to pay for it all up front or something like that. But it was super weird because for some reason I chose the Brave Thinking Institute, and it was a spirituality based life coaching practice, and I had no idea why, but like for some reason that just it fucking resonated. Do you know what I mean? Like I had no idea why. And as I was going through this program, I mean, I was locked in, like working on it every day after work. Like honestly, most of the time I would wake up at like 4 or 5 a.m. Because I was doing that for like years straight, and I would work on it before work. I'd be working on it after work. I finished I think what was supposed to be a 12-month program in like a month and a half or something like that. And as I was, as I was going through this program, I started unlocking um, more like consciousness, I guess you could say. Um, just like I started remembering things about myself, and like my life started clicking together like that. And basically what I understand myself to be is, so I'm essentially like a star seed, which is, I'm like, I have like ancient DNA codes, like so on and so forth. You would have to look into it. Like honestly, I still, you know, I don't I don't know. I just like know things, and like I don't, like I'll do some research on it, but like I don't. I'm not one of these spiritual cats that like make it their whole like personality. I just know what I know, and yeah, like you know what I mean. Um, but yeah, I got this like basically like healing energy, and then also I am like a high priest, in like a past life, and basically like I have like this crazy intellect of like the subconscious mind, and like I can like see into mine in a way. Like my my brain like picks up patterns and like crazy things that like most people don't notice, or like I can just like I can see somebody and just like know what time it is like without them even saying a word. I'm also a Sigma INFJ, the rarest personality type. I'm neurodivergent, and uh, see, I need to start like kind of scripting these because I get off topic. This is all off the dome, honestly. uh, yeah, I'm kind of getting off topic. So basically, yeah. So I start remembering all this stuff, and my life starts making sense. Like as I learn about like the star seeds and like all that kind of stuff. Basically, like my whole life up until this point made no sense because it's almost like I walked around with like this cloud above my head. But literally, it's because my soul signed a contract to be born into toxic family environments and go through all of this stuff so that I could unlock all of these uh, quote unquote spiritual gifts and help humanity's evolution in the 5D new earth and become like a spiritual leader of sorts. And yeah, it's like my life started making sense because like dude, I never understood why like dude people would like always have problems with me or like pick on me and all this stuff, but it was because um my light, my what's inside of me, it like brings out the worst in people, and it highlights everything that they try to hide. So I essentially like am like a demon slayer of sorts, especially um, the energy vampires, the narcissists. They hate me. They hate to see me coming. But for most of my life, they also wanted to suck my soul dry because they saw the energy and I was a people pleaser and yada yada yada. So I went through all that fun stuff. But yeah, um, and like, dude, I'm still no master by any sense of the imagination, but I'm like slowly learning more and more about myself. And, basically, the one thing I can tell you is like, I'm essentially like a modern day shaman, like with all of the things that I have put together. It's like what, it would be considered a shaman. Like, obviously, like, I never was put into like shamanism, or like really studied it or anything like that. But like everything I possess equals that. So then I basically just framed myself as a shamanic like life and executive coach because the gifts that I possess plus everything that I've been through, I'm not normal, you guys. I am claircognizant, like everything. Like I have like I get psychic downloads. I'm connected to source. Like I communicate with God and like the archangels, like the ascended masters, if you will. I can call on them and they literally guide me. I'm super connected to the universe. It's like I get signs from everything. Like I'm talking like I'll get a I'll get a download and like it'll get windier, or like a butterfly will pass my vision, or you know, what else? I see angel numbers everywhere, and not just like it's mainly like 111 and 222s, but like it's all of them on license plates, on on like anything. Like it's like I get signs everywhere. It's really crazy. Um, yeah, and also I have like this crazy ability to like manifest. Like when I say something, like it might not happen right away, but like years down the line, I'll be like, oh yeah, I was talking about that. Now I'm like there. So yeah, um, yeah, and honestly, like I don't. I have a general consensus of like where I want to go and what I how I want this path to unfold. But honestly, I'm kind of just like having God lead the way and being a vessel for divine creation. Most of the things I do are led by source. I I take guidance from God and my intuition and stuff like that over logic any day. And yeah, I mean, so far it hasn't led me astray. So yeah, I guess they're telling me just leave it there. And I got 555 on the clock. It's funny also too. One of the biggest signs that I get is like I'll see an angel number or it'll be like 554, but then I got a download one time that like I'm the extra, like 554 plus one would be 555. So like a lot of the time I get signs where it's like that, and yeah, they just told me to end this sesh, and it is 554, so I'm gonna leave it there. I will, yeah, basically just wanted to, essentially introduce myself a bit more. So that way you know where I come from, who I am, because I think like one of the most important parts of any transformation is transparency and being open and honest with yourself and others. So yeah, I hope you have a great day. Thank you for tuning in, and I will see you in the next episode. Much love. Peace.